Hello and welcome to this special edition of Get Connected TV, coming to you from the Aircraft Interiors Expo in Hamburg. Later in the programme we talk to Panasonic about how their new modem is enabling to stream even more information to the aircraft. We talk to Rockwell Collins about a new antenna and talk to Byrnes at ViaSat about their recent acquisition of Arconics. But first, the news headlines.
Inmarsat Aviation President Neo Mondale says its GX Ka-band in-flight connectivity solution has had an excellent start. Speaking to journalists about the system's first few months of operation, Mondale said that GX is now running on more than 60 aircraft in the Lufthansa family, including Eurowings and Austrian Airlines, and it is beginning to get meaningful data on how passengers are using it. He said Lufthansa is very satisfied with the performance of its GX in-flight connectivity, as are its customers. The net promoter scores from passengers using it are very positive. Inmarsat also announced that Air Asia has selected GX for its A320 and 330 fleets. Gogo has been selected by Airbus as a lead supplier for its high bandwidth connectivity program. This designation officially enables factory line fit installation of Gogo's 2Ku global satellite solution on the Airbus A320, A330 and A380 family aircraft. Being part of Airbus's HPC program means airlines can place future aircraft orders with Airbus and have Gogo's 2Ku technology installed at the factory on all major fleet types. The aircraft are then delivered with the technology already installed and ready for service on day one. Embraer has selected Panasonic Avionics to provide in-flight entertainment and connectivity for the E-Jets E2, the second generation of the E-Jets family of commercial aircraft. The new contract extends the partnership between the two companies, with Panasonic offering Wi-Fi streaming entertainment and Wi-Fi connectivity service for the E2 aircraft. ViaSat says it's close to announcing a media flight for its Ka-band users on Qantas in Australia as the service continues to develop through its test phase. Don Bookman, ViaSat's Director of Mobile Broadband, also said the Gen 2 equipment, which will enable compatibility between the ViaSat 1, ViaSat 2 and ViaSat 3 satellites, will also be available to install in May. ViaSat 2 satellite, which will extend the company's Ka-band coverage over the Atlantic Ocean, plus add additional capacity over Canada and Central America, is due for launch in May. Air Caribe and its sister company French Blue have appointed Citron Air to bring Inmarsat's GX Aviation in-flight connectivity across their fleets. Citron Air has been selected to deliver a nose-to-tail in-flight connectivity solution to the airlines over the high-speed Ka-band broadband network. This is Citron Air's first European customer to adopt GX. Citron Air will ensure global reliable connectivity coverage as well as on the airline's long-haul flights between Paris, French Caribbean and La Réunion. Thales and SES have unveiled new satellite functionality for the Thales Flight Live in-flight connectivity solution. The upcoming SES-17H satellite will now feature a digital transparent processor, allowing them to respond to bandwidth demands and geographical demands as required.
Late last year, I went to Belgium to see Newtec's new modem in action that's now being used by Panasonic Avionics. It's completely increased the throughput that they can have in terms of in-flight connectivity. And earlier today I spoke to Dave Bruner to explain what it will actually mean for them and what they can actually do with it on an aircraft.
So the key we're demonstrating here this year is, and we're trying to do this in a way that's actually real. It's not a faked test to show a really high bandwidth number. This is actually demonstration of our new Newtec modem operating on a real production HTS satellite that we have here in Europe, and showing what that experience is like from a passenger perspective. So we have a number of iPads set up here so that you can see streaming video coming over the satellite. You can see live television coming over the satellite. You can access web pages and feel how snappy it is to be able to have that type of speed. And for comparison, this new modem supports 20 times more capacity than the modem we're flying today. And that's really important. It shows the growth in the industry, the number of additional passengers per aircraft that are operating on the system, and the amount of data being consumed by those passengers. We need that 20-fold increase and capability for the satellite modem on board the aircraft.
Are you seeing this extra need for capacity on your own system? Are you actually seeing it in the data?
So we actually have situations, it doesn't occur all the time, but at certain points in the day with heavy usage, where we actually reach the maximum of the satellite modem. And so today, it is the limiting factor in the service that we can give to an airline. And so the key thing here is removing that blocking mechanism or throttling mechanism in the satellite modem by installing one that has so much more capability. And at the same time, we are providing satellites with so much more capacity and making those available everywhere across the world. So by the end of this year, 86% of all the airline flight hours will be covered with high throughput. That way you've got satellites with plenty of capacity, you've got a satellite modem with plenty of capacity, and you can use that capacity for any application the customer might need. And that's from the passenger perspective. But think about it also from the airline perspective for operational purposes. Now, the airline, they're not having to trade off bandwidth. Oh, should I use this for operational purposes or should I use it for the passenger? There's enough capacity, throughput capacity and satellite capacity for operations and marketing to both be able to have as much as they need.
When will the new modem be rolled out?
So in July, for the first customer is Southwest Airlines, and then we are, as soon as it goes into service, we will be rolling it out as fast as we can, first through North America, and then globally by the end of the year, we will start installations of aircraft, because the whole world will now be set up in the teleports for the new Newtec hardware.
David Bruner, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Dublin-based Arconics was recently acquired by ViaSat in California. They're a software company that specialises in aviation applications, and I spoke to Gary Byrnes earlier to find out why they were acquired by ViaSat and what it will mean for them going forward.
Well, it's given us the opportunity to scale up our operation, to join a very large global company with a very strong engineering background. So we've integrated our software products into the ViaSat offering. We call it the flight path to the connected aircraft. And what that means is if a fleet has no connectivity whatsoever, we have flight operations apps in document management, EFB and cabin management, which will work really well on a disconnected aircraft. When the fleet decides then to deploy a cabin network, we've got our onboard entertainment product delivering content to passengers' own devices. So that'll operate on the cabin network, and that'll actually also integrate back to the flight operations apps, delivering benefits there. And then the hardware that's installed for the wireless IFE network is the very same hardware that enables in-flight internet. So when an airline decides that they want to scale up their operation to meet passenger demands for high-quality internet in the sky, the existing setup will deliver that. And of course, bringing in-flight internet into the aircraft also delivers benefits across all the other products, from the enablement of sending aircraft data from the EFB back to base in real time, to enabling real-time purchases through the wireless IFE system.
And what does being part of a larger, more global company meaning for you then, for Arconics, or what was previously Arconics?
Yeah, it's just wonderful. It's given us the opportunity to tap into so many skilled, knowledgeable and really, really interesting people across the world. Whenever we meet up with our colleagues from ViaSat operations around the world, we just get on immediately. So as a cultural match, it just couldn't be better. It also gives us the clout to be able to deliver on massive projects, which may have been a stretch for us previously. And it's also made talent acquisition so much easier, because ViaSat is a company that really values its employees through benefits and opportunities for career growth. So that's really made it work for us to get more people onto our team.
Are you staying in Dublin?
Absolutely. Dublin is our base, so we're doing a lot of our software development there. We're building up our facilities in Dublin. And I think as another element of ViaSat's global footprint, Dublin is a really unique place. We've got so much software development going on in Dublin, specifically, and it's a really good place for us to find and acquire talent. Yeah.
Gary Byrnes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rockwell Collins are developing a new electronically steerable antenna that will be used in future applications in terms of in-flight connectivity. An electronically steerable antenna doesn't have moving parts. It uses beamforming techniques to actually steer the beam onto the antenna. I spoke to Lee Paulsen of Rockwell Collins to explain exactly what the antenna is, how it will work, and how they're developing it.
So my name's Lee Paulsen. I'm a principal electrical engineer. I work in our advanced technology department, and my primary job responsibility is the tech development lead for affordable phased array technology at Rockwell Collins. So we're working on a low-cost, low-profile phased array antenna, also known as an ESA. We've been working in this for a few years now, actually, largely working on affordable phased arrays on our government markets. And this is our first foray into commercial aviation. So we're developing a KU band antenna to begin with that will work with geosynchronous systems today and then is fully upgradable and ready for LEO systems when they come tomorrow. I think there's a public MOU out there that we're working with OneWeb in particular. We're pretty excited about the opportunity for connected aircraft with OneWeb, and we think that's a good reason to start with KU.
What are the challenges with electronic active steerable array?
Sure, so there's a handful of challenges.
Yeah.
Affordability is probably the biggest challenge to a lot of the traditional phased array vendors out there. I'll just put it that way, right? People have been building phased arrays for a very long time. We're not the only ones building phased arrays. Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed, Northrop, right? They've built these systems for a very long time. The challenge is how do you build one that's affordable in these markets? And I think that's a nut that my team has cracked. So on something like a OneWeb system where you have satellites that are in view for a few minutes at a time, it's a pretty serious challenge to move the beam fast enough to keep track of where the satellite's going. And we're working with OneWeb and we're working with Qualcomm to develop the technology to do that in a network management system, basically, if that makes sense.
Okay. And do you see other applications for this beyond OneWeb?
Absolutely. Like I said before, we're starting with geosynchronous satellites to begin with and moving to OneWeb in the future. So our intention is to be able to connect with SES or Intelsat satellites today, and when our customers are ready and OneWeb is ready, we would simply replace the modem in the aircraft and upgrade to OneWeb immediately.
Lee Paulsen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all we have time for with Get Connected TV this time. If you want to know any more about any of the stories you've heard or find out more about what's been happening at Aircraft Interiors, go to getconnected.aero. Bye-bye.